My name is Haider Abbas. I am working as Applied Research Specialist at Canada Manitoba Crop Diversification Center. Today I am providing an update on the project use of mustard as a biofumigant to manage verticillium wilt of potatoes in Manitoba. Biofumigation is the suppression of soil-borne pests and diseases through the use of plants and that produce inhibitory chemicals. In most cases, these biofumigant plants are chopped and incorporated into the soil so they can release their inhibitory chemicals. Mustard is a well understood biofumigant. Mustard produces chemicals called glucosinolates, and when glucosinolates come in contact with water and enzymes contained in plant cells, they are transformed in another group of compounds called isothiocyanate. It is these isothiocyanate that provide mustard its biofumigant power. Mustard has been shown to control a variety of soil-borne pests. These include verticillium wilt, rhizoctonia, fusarium, pythium, common scab, and a range of nematodes. Fertilizer nitrogen is important to the production of biomass, and sulfur is crucial for the production of glucosinolates. Nitrogen is applied depending on the field's history. The rate of sulfur should be adjusted in relation to the chosen nitrogen rate in a 6:1 ratio. CMCDC is conducting this study since 2019 to characterize agronomic practices for mustard cultivar necessary to achieve maximum biomass to theoretically maximize glucosinolate production. Since 2019, we have been testing different agronomic practices to maximize the mustard biomass, as it is fundamental to the success of biofumigation process. Those practices include growing cereal stubbles before seeding mustard, including winter wheat and fall rye, comparing treated mustard seed production with non-treated seed production. The new thing in 2021 is that we are testing the biomass production from treated mustard seed planted at 4 seeding dates. That include June 1st, June 15, June 29, and July 13. We used Cleante, Andente, and AC Volcan to conduct this study, and brown mustard is a new mustard variety added to our treatment this year. We are also testing different nitrogen fertilizer treatments to study the impact of nitrogenous fertilizer on biomass production. And we are conducting this trial under irrigated conditions and non-irrigated conditions to compare irrigated and dry land scenarios. The results from last 2 years are available at mbpotatoresearch.ca, and the results from this study will also be added to mbpotatoresearch.ca. CMCDC is also conducting the study at the field scale level, and Zach Frederick will summarize those results from the field scale level of this study. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Zach Frederick. I work at CMCDC Carberry, that's the Canada Manitoba Crop Diversification Center in Carberry, Manitoba, and I am the Applied Potato Research Agronomist. And my role in this project is to work with Haider Abbas. Haider is doing the small plot component, I'm doing the field component. What we are trying to accomplish in general is to establish a link between mustard biofumigation and the reduction of verticillium wilt of potato as defined by the actual reduction of disease in the subsequent crop, and also, if possible, the reduction of the soil-borne mycosclerotia, which is the overwintering structure by which the fungus survives to infect future crops. To that end, we've been working with our grower collaborators, which is absolutely fantastic because they have taken our small plot ideas as seen here and blown them up to the field scale. On the field scale, they've discovered that there's multiple different planting day options in Manitoba that Haider and I are kind of fine-tuning the recommendations for, depending on what the goal is. For people that are growing mustards, for example, and they're attempting to do dry land, they have found that planting earlier in the season, potentially between May and June, captures more of the early season moisture and allows for avoiding some of the flea beetle infestations of the late season. So it changes their insecticide protocol and their moisture protocol. People that have planted in August or late July, for example, have found that they can achieve more biomass and possibly more control. Research by others has indicated that the closer this mustard crop is to the subsequent potato crop, the more control you get. So Hader and I will continue to update the website as we find different options are working for different growers depending on your situation. There's also a problem in planting date where growers that plant early crops may miss out on their grain crop rotation, but some growers wish to mix it in with a cover crop or other green manure rotation besides just the mustard. So it depends on their crop rotation plan where the mustard could possibly fit in during the season. We've also been working with the distributors of mustard seeds to help identify more precise rate recommendations. And we found, for example, for direct season that people can decrease their the pounds of mustard seed per acre necessary. Original recommendations out of the States suggested 10 pounds to the acre for direct seeding. We found people have been successful at getting excellent biomass with cutting down closer to 6. And likewise with broadcast applications in the United States, 12 pounds to the acre were recommended, and we found people can decrease to 8 while still maintaining an effective biomass cover. As Hader alluded to, this year's big research thrust has been in fertilizer applications. Initial recommendations were clocking in at potentially 120 to 180 units of nitrogen were needed, with up to 90 units at seeding, and the rest followed in subsequent fertigation events. And following that up with 25 to 30 units of sulfur, essentially making a 6-to-1 ratio. So to that end, Hader in particular has been working in this experiment with results that will be showing up at the end of this year. And he'll be investigating what some of our community growers have described as a need for more fertilizer to achieve more biomass, which may or may not work for some growers depending on their situation. We've also found that growers have been more successful when they've improved their seed to soil contact ratio, especially when they have a roller packer following seeding, and especially if they're careful about managing their grain residue following the grain crop if you're planting in late July or August, for example. And in particular, emphasis has come out of the States that chaff needs to be spread, as piled chaff tends to make for less biomass in your mustard. And we found that if there's enough straw and other matter accumulating on the ground, that it has both interfered with seed to soil contact and with overall emergence. We also have been working intensely with our community on the irrigation related questions. We initially set out, Hader and I, in the hopes of establishing a dryland crop, and we will have dryland comparisons. Depending on the planting date, you can achieve reasonable biomass of 3 to 4 feet, but the optimum targets with 5 to 6 feet of mustard and the accompanying pounds per acre have remained elusive so far with our dryland efforts, but we will continue to evaluate other mustards and see if we have a leaf that's been unturned that may offer the dryland solution. In the meantime, what we found for our irrigated partners, with an example behind me, is that we have found people that have applied generally between 8 to 9 inches of water, and especially 5 inches in that first month, are critical to achieving the best growth that we found with maximum biomass upwards of 5 feet vertically, and the accompanying pounds per acre that we are looking for in general for biofumigation. And to that end, the last thing that's been absolutely essential for proper biofumigation has been the use of a flail, and then following that as immediately as possible with incorporation. The flail has been necessary to properly macerate all of this tissue to get exposure to both oxygen and water. The gases that are released do not persist for very long, so we've tried to encourage people within 10 minutes, 15 at the very maximum, to get this biomass, once it's been flailed, into the ground as fast as humanly possible. And that is still, as far as we've experimented with, absolutely critical to the success of the biofumigant operations. So this point has been non-negotiable and has remained unchanged from original recommendations out of Europe and the United States. So to that end, our research results will continue to be posted to mbpotatoresearch.ca, and especially these recommendations that I've been reading off of, which we've established as the key groundwork to achieving maximum biomass using methods from the United States and Europe that we've locally adapted with the help of our grower community, in which we are very, very grateful for those partnerships that we've established and will be continuing to use into the future. Thank you all very much for your time, and I appreciate your attention.